For me, parkour's become a lifestyle. Like, I live and breathe it. I'd almost say I'm doing it actively 12 hours a day. If it's not training directly, it's recovery. And if it's not recovery, it's some sort of social media aspect or something that's full-time.
Before I even knew what freerunning was or parkour, was to learn a standing backflip because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like, I thought if you could do this outside anywhere, that's just the coolest thing.
So I've got a twin brother, and we just used to jump off our mum's sofa trying to like see who could do a backflip first.
I started doing parkour back in 2007. It's been crazy since then. I've been watching the whole community growing and killing it year after year.
For me, the parkour community is one of the most special things about the sport. I mean, I grew up in very constructed, strict sports like ice skating and ballet, where it was all about being the best and cutting the other people down to achieve what you wanted. And parkour is just so much love and support.
But generally, it's just a very free thing, just kind of going out with your friends, having fun, training. It's not about really competing with each other as much as it's just helping each other to progress.
I found freerunning, and then I kept freerunning. Kept running.
We're here in Holland for King's Day, and we're shooting the Red Bull 100 Hours project.
So today, we're mainly scouting locations, looking for potential runs and things we're going to do.
The spots that we choose for this video will be like accessible for us, and I think the tricks will not be a problem. Maybe some tricks in the center will be a definite challenge, but maybe that gives the extra wow factor if we manage to nail that.
Like, parkour and freerunning is interesting in the way that we train. Like, a lot of people come up and they're like, what do? Do you just go out for a run and jump over walls and, like, you know, improvise for an hour? And it's much more of a broken down process where we go out and we train certain skills.
Oh my days, that was so nice.
So we'll go to a spot and we'll have things that we know we can do or things that are challenging for us. And usually we'll find that one or two things and then find a way to connect them or find a way to connect into that difficult thing in a new way that we haven't explored before.
I think parkour freerunning is a training, is a mental training. You train your fears.
I think if you're not scared of a big jump, that's gonna get you messed up. So you have to have some kind of, like, you know, be some kind of scared.
People say, yeah, you're crazy, you don't know any fear. Well, I know fear, I know how to handle it.
It's so sketchy, man. Every time I send it, I'm just kind of there, like... Yeah, I've broken my ankles a few times, like sprained wrists, displaced hips. Usually things I can just rest for a few months and then come back with some conditioning and try and be stronger.
Yo, I ain't been about. I've had to pause. Everyone I...
Yeah, I'm good. I overshot it a little bit. Oh, I flipped too far, so my feet were really far on the edge. And I wanted to come and put my hand down, but I was too far over. But I'll try again. Part of what we do is learning to trust yourself and your own abilities. So you'll know that even though you're scared when you come to a jump, you've trained long enough, you know yourself enough that you know that you can do it. So although you're scared, you just got to push through it and trust yourself in the end.
Yo, I do me, I'm the driving force. I get paid every time I perform. You get took to the side from a floor. They call me Big Don T, son.
You fucking landed so on your feet.
Falling is hazards of the job, and I think it would be a shame to lie to the outer world and say that I don't fall over or that we don't fall over, because we do, like any other sport, have accidents or mishaps. But if you're strong or aware enough, like, to be able to do these things. Can do it again shortly. Just got to let my wrists take a little bit of a rest. You're an athlete. This happens. It's kind of funny. Relax.
Parkour is very visual, so whenever I want to do a line, at the same time I think how I'm gonna film that line to present to the world.
Try and do the movement justice in the first shot, and if they can do a second or third take, depending how hard the move is, then you worry about getting the nice shot, you know what I mean? The fancy one for the cinematics that maybe doesn't make the jump look so big, but look, it's a nice frame.
There's a million ways you could film this area, but if sort of Lucy comes to me and he says, I want to do this run, then that will eliminate a lot of the ways. The run is the most important thing. You have to showcase that to look the best possible.
It works. Yeah, for me it works. It's gonna be one shot from here and another one from downstairs.
Video content and filmmaking has been the single biggest factor in the growth of parkour, hands down. If you look at the growth of parkour, it's pretty much directly correlated with the growth of video content on the internet.
A lot of professional freerunners are really good filmmakers or have a good instinct for visual content. They know how they want it to look on the video. They have the whole picture in their head and they're able to either converse it or do it themselves.
They're doing the really, really skillful thing. Like, I'm just there to capture it, and if I don't do my job well enough, then I'm not doing my job well enough.
We're just always like, when you start parkour, you don't turn off the parkour eyes, like wherever you are. Always looking at ledges, at takeoff jumps, at little runs, just all the time. Like,
the first thing which came up in my mind is Joe. If you noticed, he doesn't walk like this, like watching straight to the street or whatever. He walks like this all the time because he does like descents. So he climbs from really high buildings all the way down. So I think every parkour athlete, every freerunning athlete sees the world differently.
As a freerunner, we always go through the space and look at the world as a giant playground. But when you have your select things, your things that you really enjoy doing, you naturally, your eye leads towards that sort of thing. Or you have friends who will, in this case, the other guys stop and say, look, there's a big front flip, just a classic, you know, my style of thing to do.
so what's the plan? Flip down.
I front flip to the
Am I out of it?
Yeah.
All right, guys, back up for me.
This could be one of them.
I had to commit to the jump when like hundreds of people were watching and filming. I'm standing on a ledge and like, shit man, I've never done this move, never done this move here. I'm gonna commit right now.
Parkour freerunning is almost similar to meditation or whatever, because you're like so focused in the moment and nothing else comes in. The only thing you focus on is the jump, which is a really unique feeling, which gives a lot of rest and peace. And once you conquer one of your big fears and one of your big jumps, that's like one of the best feelings there is.
It is a second and a half of freedom, at least. Like, some of the biggest front flips I've done have had like 2 seconds of airtime, and it's crazy to feel like the velocity of the fall, but then coming out with no impact. It just feels it's so fun. It's such a fun thing to do.
Because when you're in the moment, all you're thinking about is kind of making sure everything's going right. You're processing everything, every single little step. But I suppose afterwards, when you've been trying to do a run for ages and ages, you've fallen loads of times, you've hurt yourself. When you finally land the run or the skill, that's when you get really, really excited.
But when you actually do it, yeah, you get this release in your body that makes you, I think, feel really alive.
After the landing, the moment where it doesn't even have to be my landing, it could be anybody's landing where they've just achieved something, pushing themselves mentally, physically, breaking a boundary, as it were, that moment where we're all feeling the elation of the day, the vibe, the jump that they've just done, the gratification of achievement for that person or yourself is just elating. There's no other thing like it.